quite a lengthy motion debate this week, quite heated at times. Were you surprised by some of the comments?
No, not at all. I think, we're all passionate about education. We all want to have the best system in place for the Isle of Man's young people.
At one point, the Education Minister was pulled up for using unparliamentary language towards yourself. Was that a bit disappointing, some of his comments?
No, I think I expected it. So, and you do expect the normal cut and thrust of Parliament to have sort of high emotions. So it kind of goes with the job. What I was more concerned about was while the Minister was refuting inaccuracies and the number of psychologists, educational psychologists was an issue. Fine, give us the correct figure, but actually the number of educational psychologists isn't the issue. The issue is, are there sufficient to meet the demand of the local children within schools? And that is a service provided by the Department of Education, whereas speech therapy, which we know is incredibly thinly stretched and not meeting demand and not even taking new referrals for the last term, that has a significant impact on children's learning at a younger age, but also their outcomes going forward. What's happening about that? And for the Minister to say, that's in Department of Health, or that the other one about the replacement policies and the standard of IT equipment, and that's in central services and caretakers of central services. Yes, but it all impacts on the educational establishment, the structures that underpin learning and the facilities that sort of make teachers' lives easier as well. So I would think that in the round, the big picture of education, which is where I'm coming from, do we need a system that takes the sort of strategic level, big thinking policies for education out of the people delivering it day to day, so that we have that outside view. Now, members didn't support the motion, but there was a lot of support within the chamber, and quite significantly, some members particularly feeling that it was a matter of leadership and sort of everything flowed from the leadership rather than the structures needing to be separate.
Do you think some of the Education Minister's comments distracted from those kind of issues then?
Yes, I think he harked back to comments and concerns I'd raised going back 2 years or more. So the co-location of St Thomas's with Sgol Valagillt is done and dusted. The situation over school league tables, that was an issue. I've spoken to large numbers of education professionals. I understand and appreciate why league tables per se are not helpful in the Isle of Man. But the points that the Education Minister didn't address, parents are doing it for themselves. Where's the narrative from the department? Where is our benchmarking? It's no longer sufficient for a minister to say we have a world-class education system without evidence to back that up. And for me, the self-school review system and the bizarre sort of comments from an independent inspector, and the fact that we don't see the inspector's report routinely, we just get the head teacher's response to that report. It's not really giving us an insight into knowing how schools are performing, how they're serving young people, but also over the resourcing for teachers. So while you've got a reduction in speech therapies and other sort of health professional support for schools, I made the point that there's increasing amounts of anxiety and mental health issues among students. I think the minister went off at a tangent and said, my raising the issue of league tables was causing this. But I don't accept that. I'm saying what's addressing that at a sort of fundamental level across the schools. I think the schools are doing an amazing job. What I'm kind of challenging the department is, are they doing the best job possible? Are they engaging with teachers and classroom assistants? Do we have the right pupil-teacher ratios and adequate support in terms of educational assistance? Are we really serving the schools the best we can to ensure we have a world-class education system? And the more the bluster and the anger and the diversionary tactics of what about this, you said this and this was wrong and this is an inaccuracy, fine, brilliant of you to correct it, great that you can tell us policies and things that the department's looking into, but that doesn't address for me, are you really engaged and do you have the confidence of all the schools and the school leaderships? Because that isn't my impression.
During the debate on the motion, there were remarks about whether it's time for the Chief Minister to look at the role of the Education Minister. Do you agree?
Well, I made some suggestions during my opening speech, and I said, was it time for the whole of Home Affairs to be put at more arm's length than to have a justice minister within the Cabinet Office. And in the same way, if you looked at children and community policies from a more strategic level, would you have a minister for children and communities rather than education? Because all the sports establishments and the arts, I think, could pretty much continue. So the Villa Marina and Arts Council and everything else, do they really need the political involvement in a department level? And I also said, is it time that we, as do England, Ireland, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Jersey, all have a children's commissioner? That's an outside person looking after the rights of the child. Do we need that kind of outside level of input that could feed into policy making at a higher level? So while it might be in the Chief Minister's remit to decide when's the appropriate time to have a reshuffle, and I think he said he's thinking of the department members being shuffled rather than ministers, for a freshening up and to give confidence that we are really focused on the issues that are affecting people, there are many, many aspects. And in terms of policy, I think we did some really good things this week. I mean, the improvements to childcare and the focus on acknowledging the issues we have in people having access to appropriate childcare, that was a good thing. And the increased funding for preschool. But actually, do we have the preschool at an adequate level of educational attainment that we want to see in our preschool? That's where I was coming from. And I think the minister also got a little bit heated over the response to that. But actually, we're all on the same page. We're not the opposition. We're the challenge that wants to hear and challenge the minister into presenting us with the strong answers that say, yes, I'm understanding this issue. I'm engaged with the educational professionals and we all want to deliver the best education system that we can on the island.